Okay, so missiles and drones are absolutely tearing across the skies of West Asia right now in a huge military escalation. In the next few minutes, we're going to unpack the entire chain of events that led us to this moment, from that initial spark to the massive retaliation, and we'll try to get our heads around where this incredibly dangerous path might be leading.
So, here's how we're going to break this all down to make sense of the chaos. First, we're going to start right at the most dramatic point, Iran's massive retaliatory strike. Then we'll hit rewind to figure out what initial attack provoked it in the first place. We're also going to look at the tragic human cost of all this, the diplomatic failures that kind of paved the way for this conflict, and finally get into Iran's official justification for its actions.
All right, let's jump right into the thick of it, to the moment the situation truly boiled over, with Iran's massive, and I mean massive, coordinated counterattack that lit up the entire region. The date you need to remember is February 28th, 2026. This is when everything went from just tense to truly explosive. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, launched this huge wave of coordinated strikes. And let me be clear, this was not some warning shot. This was a full-scale, no-holds-barred military operation. And you can just see here the sheer scope of this response. I mean, the IRGC didn't just hit one target, they went after key U.S. assets all across the region. We're talking the Navy's 5th Fleet hub in Bahrain, the massive Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the Ali Al Salman base in Kuwait, and even other installations down in the UAE. And at the exact same time, a whole separate barrage was launched against Israel. This was an incredibly complex and defiant multi-front attack. So, the big question is, what on earth could provoke a response on this scale? I mean, what happened? To answer that, we actually need to rewind the clock just a few hours. The catalyst, it turns out, was a series of early morning airstrikes directly on Iranian soil. And there was absolutely no ambiguity about who was behind it. Both the US president and the Israeli military came out and quickly confirmed their involvement. They basically lit the fuse for the retaliation that was sure to come. And look, these were not surgical strikes on some remote military sites out in the desert. The targets were major Iranian cities. We're talking the capital, Tehran, and other vital centers like Isfahan and Qom. This was a direct strike against the very heart of the country. And this right here, this really lays out the dangerous tit-for-tat cycle we're seeing play out. It's so clear. You have the action, airstrikes on Iran cities, and then the immediate, and I mean immediate reaction, a massive missile and drone retaliation on US and Israeli targets. It's a classic escalation spiral, and we're watching it happen in real time.
But, behind all the military strategy and geopolitics, this conflict has a truly devastating human cost. As the dust started to settle from those initial airstrikes on Iran, some really disturbing reports of civilian casualties began to surface.
Now, it is crucial to note where this information is coming from. These initial reports about civilian casualties, they originated from Iranian state media. They were the ones who started broadcasting the non-military impact of the US-Israeli attacks. And among the dead, according to those reports, were several students. The specific location they cited was an elementary school in Midnab. In that single detail, it shifted the narrative dramatically, from one of strategic military strikes to one of just profound and tragic human loss. It added a volatile, heartbreaking new layer to this whole conflict. So you have to be asking, how did it get to this point? Weren't there any off-ramps? Weren't people trying to stop this? Well, the answer is yes, there were attempts at diplomacy, but as we're about to see, they failed completely. Yeah, this conflict really didn't just come out of nowhere. In fact, high-level talks had just been held in Geneva. They were mediated by Oman, supported by the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. I mean, the effort was there. But despite all these attempts to find a peaceful way forward, diplomacy totally broke down, which is what paved the way for the direct military confrontation that we're seeing today. So, with diplomacy off the table, at least for now, how is Iran officially justifying this massive military operation? Let's take a look at their declared position. From Tehran's official point of view, this is an aggression. The government is being very careful to frame these strikes as a legitimate, necessary act of self-defense. It's a direct response to what they're calling foreign attacks on their own sovereign territory. And a statement from a senior Iranian commander really makes their position crystal clear. And I want you to pay attention to one word here: uninterruptedly. That single word signals that their response isn't a one-and-done kind of thing. No, they are framing this as an ongoing military campaign that will only stop when, in their words, the aggression against Iran ceases. And so,
that's where we are. Diplomacy has failed. We have two sides locked in this incredibly dangerous cycle of attack and counterattack. The US and Israel crossed a major line by striking Iran directly, and Iran has responded with a message that could not be clearer. We will not back down. It all just boils down to one deeply unsettling question: what happens next?